President Hakainde Hichilema has reiterated his administration's readiness to engage with the family of the late President Edgar Chagwa Lungu following the burial, emphasizing the government's commitment to addressing any lingering concerns in a spirit of national unity and reconciliation. This statement comes amid a protracted and emotionally charged dispute between the state and the Lungu family over the repatriation and funeral arrangements of Zambia's sixth Republican president, whose death in South Africa on June 5, 2025, triggered a wave of political and cultural tensions that continue to reverberate across the nation. In a televised address delivered on June 19, Hichilema declared the official end of the national mourning period, citing the government's exhaustive efforts to facilitate a dignified state funeral. Despite reaching an agreement with the family on June 15 regarding the repatriation of the body and the ceremonial protocols, the arrangement collapsed at the last moment, with the family reversing its position and expressing discomfort over the president's involvement in the funeral proceedings. The reversal not only disrupted logistical plans but also reignited long-standing political rivalries that have defined Zambia's post-transition landscape. Hichilema's statement, "We are willing to address whatever concerns the Lungu family has after burial," is more than a gesture of goodwill. It signals a strategic pivot from confrontation to conciliation, aimed at restoring public confidence in the government's handling of national mourning and reaffirming the constitutional principle that former presidents, regardless of political affiliation, belong to the nation as much as to their families. The president's tone was measured yet firm, acknowledging the emotional complexity of the situation while underscoring the need for institutional clarity and civic order. The dispute over Lungu's funeral arrangements has exposed deep fissures in Zambia's political culture, where personal grief, partisan loyalty, and spiritual beliefs intersect in unpredictable ways. The Lungu family, led by Madam Belita Lungu, has voiced suspicions about the state's intentions, with allegations ranging from ritualistic fears to concerns over symbolic appropriation. In a courtroom outburst in Pretoria, Belita accused the government of pursuing her brother's body for ulterior motives, invoking ancestral beliefs and spiritual anxieties that reflect a broader cultural unease about the intersection of death, power, and legacy. This episode has forced Zambians to confront uncomfortable questions about how the nation honors its leaders in death, and whether political reconciliation is possible in the face of unresolved historical grievances. The government's initial delay in announcing Lungu's death and setting up an official mourning venue created a vacuum that the opposition Patriotic Front (PF) quickly filled, establishing its own funeral site and framing the moment as a partisan rupture. Hichilema's subsequent decision to create a parallel venue without consensus further deepened the divide, missing a critical opportunity to demonstrate magnanimity and national cohesion. Observers have noted that the feud could have been mitigated through more inclusive dialogue and symbolic gestures of respect. For instance, had the president personally visited the PF mourning site and addressed the nation earlier, he might have diffused tensions and reframed the narrative around shared loss rather than political rivalry. Instead, the delay and the fragmented funeral arrangements reinforced perceptions of institutional detachment and emotional insensitivity, particularly among Lungu's supporters who view the late president as a symbol of continuity and resistance. The broader implications of this standoff extend beyond funeral logistics. They touch on the evolving role of the presidency in Zambia's democratic culture, the limits of state authority in matters of personal grief, and the symbolic weight of burial rites in African political traditions. In many parts of the continent, the burial of a leader is not merely a ceremonial act, it is a moment of spiritual reckoning, a transfer of legacy, and a test of national identity. The Lungu family's insistence on controlling the funeral narrative reflects a desire to protect that legacy from perceived political dilution. Hichilema's offer to engage post-burial suggests a recognition of these dynamics, and a willingness to separate the emotional from the procedural. By framing the dialogue as ongoing and open-ended, the president is attempting to shift the focus from confrontation to resolution, inviting the family to articulate their concerns in a more constructive setting. Whether this overture will be accepted remains uncertain, but it marks a rhetorical shift that could pave the way for healing and institutional reform.